back to another episode of Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. This is the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan LoPresti, and today's guest is Natty Frasca. She is a powerhouse pleasure coach, rebel rouser, and midlife expert who helps high achieving women reclaim their confidence, their sensuality, and aliveness. She is not here to give you fluffy self help platitudes. She's here to help you radically shift your life with science-backed strategies, deep embodiment practices, and a rebellious spirit that refuses to let women shrink into midlife invisibly. She has spent years researching neuroscience, somatics, and the effects of patriarchal conditioning on women, and she brings this wealth of knowledge into her work. But she's not just a researcher, she's lived this transformation herself. Natty knows what it feels like to have it all on paper, but still feel disconnected from desire, from pleasure, and true joy. She knows what it's like to wake up one day and realize that the life she built, the career, the achievements, the relationships, wasn't lighting her up the way it should have been. And she knows what it takes to break free, unbind from old conditioning, and to build a life that feels like a full body fuck yes. And without further ado, Natty, welcome to my podcast. I am so excited to have you here and to have this powerful conversation. Begin by you telling me how you had this perfect life on paper, but yet
Mm.
you weren't happy.
Oh gosh. That's
Let's
quite a
start from the beginning.
yeah, that's quite a nut to crack. I'm trying to think where to start, Susan. I guess the best place to start is just with the truth and my real story. So right before my 40th birthday, and I'm about to hit 50, so about 10 years ago, I was found myself really depressed and unable to sleep at night and kind of wondering what was wrong with me. I've always been and always was a real high achieving woman, a go-getter, kind of, did really well in school, leveled up in a career, was working in advertising, had recently become the executive director of a local nonprofit, had three healthy kids, had been married for 14 years, really had it all on paper. People who looked at my life said, wow, she did it. People from high school, wow, she made it. I had two homes, everything looked shiny from the outside. And what no one knew is that on the inside, I was secretly suffering. I was on a cocktail of anti anxiety medication, antidepressants. I used Chardonnay to, make me feel better, from 5 o'clock in the afternoon onwards. And really, I thought my problem was my marriage. I was just ready to kind of burn it all down. I married a guy who I'm still married to, who now we're 23 years in, or maybe 24, I don't remember. And, he was also a real high achiever, and we didn't really make time for each other. Anyway, we were in couples therapy, actually. And there was one day we were in couples therapy, and this is kind of the moment that cracked everything wide open for me. I had decided that I wanted a divorce. I wanted a fresh start. And I said to my therapist, and this is the day that I was going to say, I'm lawyered up and I'm ready to just do this thing. We had been in couples therapy for like 6 or 7 years at this point. And so I said, to my therapist and to my husband who was there, I'm ready for a divorce and I have a lawyer. So let's do this thing. And my therapist said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, I want a condo in town. I want, someone to mow my lawn. I want a house cleaner. I want, probably a lover, definitely a lover, you know. And he said, okay, that's not really what I want, what I meant. And then he asked me the second question, which is the one that hit home. He said, how do you want to feel, Natty? And that question just stumped me, Susan. I didn't even understand what that meant, how I wanted to feel. I was like, wait, and I sat there for a minute and I just didn't say anything. But what came to me was a vision. And the vision was I'm standing at the stovetop, stirring a pot of my grandmother's ragu. There's Jerry Garcia on the radio. My three little kids are dancing wildly in the kitchen. It's funny, I can still see that vision today. If I close my eyes, I can see it. My husband comes up behind me, rests his beard on my neck, puts a glass of red wine next to me, wraps his arms around my waist, dances. And I started to cry. And I just said, I want to feel seen. I want to feel adored. I want to feel revered. I want to feel like I'm all that matters to him. I want to feel like we're connected. I want real intimacy. I want him to ask me how my day was. I want to relax. I want space. I want to not do so much. I'm tired. I'm just tired. It's all too much. And I started to cry, and the words came out of my mouth, and I'm grabbing tissues, and I'm like, at the same time, really embarrassed. Really, really embarrassed because showing that part of myself, that softer part of myself, the not the woman who had it all together, not the organized one, not the high achiever, but this very vulnerable part of myself that was craving more,
Mm-hmm.
that was craving something that was not what I was told I should have, or and as kind of a feminist, not something I should even really speak about. This softness, this needing, this desire for another person to pay attention to me. And so what cracked open in that moment, and I'll just tell you, like in that moment, my husband started crying and he said, I want to give that to you. Please let me give that to you. And I was like, wait, what? Like, all I had to do was ask? Like, this seems too simple. So we've spent the past 10 years, I've spent the past 10 years unraveling and really paying attention to what it is I want my life to feel like. And it's very different than what I thought I wanted. And I think for so many high achieving, high powered, successful women who have been sold a lie, basically, that if we just follow what I call the patriarchal path, right? Do well in school, level up, get, find a good partner, get married, buy a house, build a family, be a good mom, be a good neighbor, be selfless, at the same time, hold everyone else's shit together, pardon my language,
Mm-hmm.
that this is what we should want, that this is what making it means, that this is what success really looks like. Like if you have all these things, you've checked all the boxes, then you should be happy. And what I've learned over the past 10 years and the past 6.5, 7 years of coaching women is that that is not the case. Is that women get to a point in our lives where we have checked all the boxes, and it's usually around midlife. It's usually somewhere between 40 and 50
Yes.
that we realize that everything we thought we wanted isn't it necessarily, and that we want more. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm coaching women on kind of unbinding from that narrative and coming back home to ourselves and getting clear about how it is we want to feel as we move through the world, the second act, and who we really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be completely different than the prior 4 or 5 decades. And that's okay because we only have, we don't know, but as far as I know, in this body, we only have one one time
Right.
to do this. So we better make it freaking great.
Yeah.
So that's a very long answer to your question, but I think it lays a solid foundation for who I am and what I'm up to.
Yes. Now, I think women, when they get into midlife, they, because we're raised to be nurturers, right? As
Yeah.
women. From when we're little girls, we're playing with dolls, we're taking care of them, we're feeding them, we're changing them. And then that role just plays into life. We get older, we may have some friends who are needy, we're always taking care of them. Then we meet our partner, we're taking care of them. Then we have children, and we totally lose ourselves of who we
Yes.
are and what we want because we're so busy focusing on what everyone else wants. And, I've read a couple of books where the author always says that most women in midlife, especially when they become empty nesters, when their kids are grown, either away at college or getting married, all of a sudden they want a divorce because they wake up and look at their partner and say, what's left for the two of us? The common ground was the family, and now they're on their own, and where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So it's incredible that you were actually able to make your marriage work at that point.
Yes. And, Susan, I'm not, I don't want to glorify like that my marriage is like sunshine and rainbows. We have stuff, we have issues that we're still moving through. It's not like the work is not one and done,
Right.
right? It's learning how to navigate ruptures, how to speak your desires. Actually say what you want, say how you feel, allow yourself to be met in those spaces, and also allow yourself to navigate the times when you're not met,
Yeah.
when you're not seen. I think a lot of people enter into kind of like the self-help world and they think if I read this book, if I, do these 4 things, if I meditate, if I take, salt baths, if I do that special retreat, then I'm going to like fix my life. But it's a journey. It's about constantly coming back to yourself and saying like every morning, like, how do I want to feel and who do I want to be today? And my marriage, I tell my husband it's like he's been my greatest teacher, not because he's some incredible human or my guru, but because he annoys the crap out of me, you know? And I have to look at my triggers. And because, he doesn't always give me what I want and what I need. And we have to navigate that. And yes, staying married isn't for everyone. And I think for a lot of women, divorce is the answer. And I've actually, I've helped a lot of women navigate divorce in midlife. And I have to say, I don't know. And I keep in touch with everyone. There's not one woman who is less happy. Every woman is actually happier and post divorce. And this is not to say I'm not anti marriage. I'm
Right.
just saying, like, life is what you make of it, and you're also okay on your own.
Yes. For some people, for some women, it's probably necessary. I'm
Yes.
divorced. It was
Yeah.
necessary. I didn't see any other option for myself. And since I got divorced, my life has never been better.
Yeah.
You
Amen.
know?
Amen. Amen, Susan. That's it, right?
Yes. And my ex-husband, who is the father of my daughter, we're still really good friends.
That's
Like we
amazing.
talk on the phone all the time. He's with someone new. I'm with someone new. But we keep the family dynamic. He will always
Yes.
be part of my family. Not everyone agrees with that, or, but that's what works for
Yeah.
me. but it was the right choice for me. But like you, the right choice for you was to stay and make it work. But I think your husband was willing to try to do that with you.
Yes. Yes, yes. I mean, he is very, very committed to the marriage. And actually, I mean, to be completely honest, Susan, I think he's maybe more committed to the marriage. And I think, for men, I'm going to say just something kind of blunt, but I think that men need women more than women need men.
Yes.
So I know if something, God forbid, something happened to my husband or we got divorced for some reason, I am fully confident, grounded in the fact that I will be fine and I will continue to expand and to flourish and have a beautiful life. Now, I say that knowing like with some privilege, right? I have a job that brings an income and, so I know I'll be fine. I have a great group of girlfriends. Like, I'll be fine. He, on the other hand, would probably need to find a new partner
Yeah.
because I don't think that many men, and you see this with divorce, is that, many divorces start because of infidelity on the man's side because he's not getting the attention he needs. So men tend to need more attention and more caretaking. Women are like, we're good, we're happy without someone else to take care of.
They're almost childlike in a lot of ways.
Yes, yes. And I'm raising a son who's 17, and God, it's always in the back of my mind. Like raise him to be independent, raise him to be able to take care of himself, raise him to be emotionally intelligent. And while I'm not saying I'm an all-powerful being, I really am trying to raise a new kind of man. So, yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. And I think we've been sold this narrative that you meet one person at 20 something and then they become your life partner
Right.
until you are on your deathbed. It's made up. I don't know the roots of it. I can't speak exactly to the roots of it, but I know it has something to do with like land ownership and agricultural rights. Like it goes back, millennia.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not rooted in like who we are as individuals or even animals on the planet. Like this idea that we're monogamous and connected to someone for maybe 70 plus years. Like it's just crazy. And when I actually just created my own podcast about this, about life partnership and who are our life partners. And for me, my life partners are the women in my life.
Yeah.
And, I will say this, very openly to my husband, and he knows this. Like, as much as I love him and as much as we have a rich, delicious relationship, he's like one part of my life. And if I need someone to hold my chaos, my bigness, my fear when I'm laying on the ground, crying and I just need to be held, like I call a woman. I
Yeah.
call a woman.
Same.
So, and I think we'd all say the same thing. And I think like this, we need to be having this conversation that, you can be married. I mean, I'm hoping to stay married to my husband, for the rest of my life. And because I like being with him and he's not my everything.
Right.
And for us to keep repeating this patriarchal narrative that our life partner, the most of the time the man we marry is supposed to like be our everything, it's very limiting.
Yes. Well, back years ago, I could think about my own family. I come from a big Italian family.
Me
No one
too.
got divorced. No
Yeah.
one got divorced.
Yeah. No, even
But
if he was beating you up.
yes. How many of them were actually happy in their marriage?
Yeah, probably
Probably.
not one, Susan.
Right, right. And so, then so that era, they'll say, "Oh, today everyone gives up on their marriage right away." You know what? Life is short. And if you're not happy in a marriage and you give it a couple of years and nothing is changing, then it's time to hightail it
Do
out.
not waste your time. And
Right.
you know what's so amazing? I mean, you're probably an amazing mom because,
I am. I will.
yes, I'm sure of it because you won't let your daughter settle.
Right.
And you're giving her this example, this real life demonstration of what it looks like for a woman to choose herself.
Yeah.
And that is that is breaking, many, many generational patterns. And that's what I wish for the women that I work with, right? That
Yes.
we break these generational patterns, that we think about what we really want, and that we create a pathway, a new, better, brighter pathway that's a million different pathways of possibility for the women who come after us.
Right.
To say, like, to everyone who sees us either get divorced or change careers or burn something down or choose herself, that like this is possible and you'll be okay. And always choose yourself.
Yes. The other thing that, and a lot of my friends and family don't understand this either, is because I am friends with my ex-husband who moved on and he has a woman and I have a man
Mhm.
in my life. But at the time that we were getting divorced, my daughter was only 15.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show her how you could navigate something that's not ideal and make the best out of it and show that you're a good person. And so
Mm,
that's part of the reason why I decided to maintain a relationship with him because we are her parents. And I
mm.
always wanted her to understand that we as parents were always going to care about her and the best interest in her life. And I also wanted her to understand that it is okay for people to move on and find someone else.
Yes.
And so we are a blended family and we're all happy.
Yes.
And so that's a healthy
Amen,
way.
Susan.
Yes.
Amen. And now your daughter has, all these other adults. How old is she now?
She's 32.
Okay, but she's had these other adults, supporting her. It makes it richer. Like all of these rules that were taught, from your aunts, from your family, from your old Italian grandma,
Yes.
they're made up. They're made up. They're fake. Like someone decided 1,000 years ago this is what it was going to do. Like men were going to own women, and this is how it was going to go. This is how we, control or subjugate the feminine. This is how we, there's so
Yes.
many things tied up in this, and it worked, right? We put men in power. Patriarchy is 5,000 years old, and it's going to take a million, 10 million women just like you to do the work to start unbinding and unraveling and showing a new way. And it takes a village so to raise children. So I mean, the more people you have on board, hands on deck, the better.
Right. Right. So my ex's partner, she's like a mom to my daughter. I mean, my daughter's
Yes.
been at their house where she didn't feel well, and she came downstairs and said she was going to go to urgent care. And she said, my ex-husband's partner said, "Wait for me. Let me get dressed. I'll take you." That's what a mom would do.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You
she,
are so lucky. But I
yes.
can actually tell just by being in the Zoom with you, like what a lovely human being you are,
Thank
and
you.
that you were open to that.
Yeah.
So a lot of women wouldn't be open to, the other woman supporting their child in that way, or there's some kind of territorial thing. But like you, it sounds like came in with a mindset of like, let's all work together to make
Yeah,
this a good thing.
right.
So that takes courage and self-awareness and,
Well, it
willingness
didn't
to do
happen overnight.
Of course
You know,
not. And
yeah,
that's the thing. Like it's like, I work with women sometimes, for over a year at a time. And so because it takes time. It takes time to, you know, move through every season of your life. It takes time to, unbind from these patterns. It takes time to build new habits. It takes time to understand your triggers. It takes repetition. So it never happens overnight. The fact that something happens overnight is another myth we've been sold.
yes, absolutely.
I'm 10 years into the work,
Yeah,
and it's not like I wake up every morning like Cinderella with like bluebirds bringing me my robe,
right.
right? I would say, I've got 85% of my days that are really effing great, and 15% of my days where I think, I don't know what I'm doing. Who
Yeah,
am I? What, I'm lost. That's when
yeah.
I call my sisterhood.
So, what the clients that you have coming to you, what's the majority of their issues? Like, what do you see the most of with these women that are seeking you out for help?
It's a good question. If What do I help them the most with? It's all, well, first of all, I'll say it's all kind of connected, Susan.
Okay.
So it's not like there's one thing that you help them, that I help these women with, and then like we solve that and they leave. It's like everything's connected. So, a lot of it is, people pleasing.
Hmm.
So, and this behavior that we should be, doing things for other people, that we should say yes to the extra work, that we should say yes to our mother-in-law staying for a month, that because that makes us a good wife, that we should have, a home cooked meal every night for, our family, that we should, I have an extra month off from work. I'm taking a sabbatical. I should re-engage with the PTO at my kids' school. Like all of these shoulds.
Right.
So, people pleasing is this behavior that ripples through so many areas of a woman's life. And it's really this behavior that is keeping you from doing what you really want, which
Hmm.
is probably none of it. And having a hard conversation, like setting boundaries, saying no, and then managing kind of the backlash. So when you say no to someone after you've said yes for 22 years, like there's going to be some friction.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's people pleasing. I work with a lot of high achieving women who want to slow down, but they don't know how.
Hmm.
So learning how to set boundaries at work, learning how to do more for themselves, taking up, dance lessons. These things sound so simple, but it's like things that you put on your bucket list that you just
Yes.
never do. You keep pushing off, right? I have a client who's a doctor who is, leaving kind of one kind of practice and becoming an entrepreneur, taking all of her knowledge and becoming an entrepreneur in a different way. So she's shifting her career. She doesn't want to be in the hospital every day. She's working 70 hours a week. She
Mhm.
wants to build her own thing. So I'm helping her transition out of that. I worked with a woman who was a money manager who all she did was work, even on the weekends when she felt like she maybe didn't have to, but she was always doing catch up. She'd been married for several years. They didn't have a very good intimate relationship. So I helped her rebuild that intimacy with her husband, to make time for it, to instead of eating takeout in front of Netflix, you know, putting a picnic blanket in the backyard and bringing the takeout there and actually being in conversation, asking questions. being brave enough to tell him, I really love you so much, and our relationship just isn't what I want it to be right now. I'm craving more intimacy and connection. I have some ideas of what would help. I'm also working with a coach who's helping me through this because what I want is to be with you for a long time, but this relationship isn't serving me right now.
Hmm.
And to have those brave conversations to move your relationship in a different way. So it's the thing that they have similar is that all these women are beginning to wake up
Yes.
and say, the clock is ticking. I'm 46, I'm 48, I'm 55. Like this, I'm on this like, high speed train and I don't know even where it's going. If I keep going in this direction, my life's going to be over and will not have lived the life I want to live.
Yeah. And a lot of women feel very uncomfortable even talking to their partners about their
Of
feelings.
course.
And
Of
then I'm
course.
sure their partners are looking at them like, what the hell? She has everything she could want. I provide her with this, that, and you're never satisfied.
Yeah,
And
because that's actually not what we want.
right.
It's not what we want. Like I used to say to my husband, like when we were both working a lot and we had a small cabin in the woods in New Hampshire. And I would say, I just want to run away. Like all I want is like for us to be in our cabin in New Hampshire to be playing board games. Like I don't need all this. I don't want all this. I want cozy. I want connection. I want depth.
Yeah.
And that is what women get with other women. But
Yes.
it is possible. Like, if, I mean, look back at my therapy session 10 years ago. I had no idea what I wanted. I just wanted to burn it down.
Hmm.
I didn't know how I wanted to feel. It was one question that triggered something in me that woke me up.
It changed
So
your life, right?
it changed the trajectory of my
Yeah.
life 100%. So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So, Natty, my audience are midlife women. So I'm sure as they're listening to this episode, they're saying, that's me, that's me.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to a woman who's listening on here? Where do they go from here?
Well, I would start asking themselves the question, you know, imagine, and this is going to seem big for them, but like, imagine the next 40 years are a complete blank slate. Like, there's no rules, there's, no expectations. Everyone's going to cheer you on. No one's going to care. You can't make the wrong decision. Like, if you could do anything and be anything, what would you do? Like, if you're writing the movie script of your life, don't worry about expectation, but if anything were possible, like magic wand. And then look at that and think about how to make that possible. Think about when you're living that life, how do you feel when you're living that imaginary life? And then take it piece by piece. There's a very good coaching tool called the Wheel of Life. Anyone can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Google the Wheel of Life, and you'll see a wheel with your life separated into 8 areas. Pick one area and just start working on it. Hire a coach, get into a community of women who are doing the same work. If it's your relationship, just focus on one thing at a time
Mm-hmm.
and see, like, how can I make this better? I will say it's possible. I've helped hundreds of women. It is 100% possible. There is absolutely, I mean, I will say finances are the biggest thing, like that will hold someone back from making big decisions. So, like divorce, for example, or leaving a job. So, I can't speak specifically. Sometimes you need to stay in a job, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you have some stability, there, I will say anything's possible. Anything is possible. Trust me. Like your life is worth going after your dreams because this is it.
Yes.
This is it. Do it now. Like, do not delay. Like, find the women who are on the same path with you, link arms and arms, pick a friend to do it together, and just start doing the things that light you up. Start following the path. And I'm like 2 weeks away from launching a brand new community.
Oh,
So if
tell us about
anyone,
that.
yeah, so I've had people asking me for years to kind of build something where these women can come together. Because what I've noticed, and the number one thing I will say that has helped me over the last 10 years, yes, I've been coached. Yes, I've been to therapy. Yes, I've done all the things, but it's the women in my life. And they're not necessarily my oldest friends. They're not necessarily the people who've known me, the longest.
Hmm.
But the women I have met in the last 10 years who are on the same path as me, they've changed everything for me. They've helped me expand. They've held me in my chaos. They've been absolutely, like I said, my life partners. And so people have been asking me, we want to meet other women like you. And so I said, okay, I'm going to open a free community and I'll be in there too to help guide and hold the space. But really, this is for other women to connect with like minded women who are on the same path, who want more and want to link arms with other women who are doing the same thing. So I don't have the link to the community yet, but what I would say is if women get on my email list, they will be the first to know when the doors open. And we're probably 2 weeks out right now. So probably by mid-August, it'll be live. And so go to my website, which is thefemininerebellion.com. And then if you go to /pleasure, that will give you the opt-in for my email list. And everyone on the email list will have access to the community.
I'll put it in the show notes also.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That'd be great. I'd love to meet some of the women from, some of your listeners. And,
Yeah.
I would encourage people to go to the website and make sure that it's their vibe, right? Like check me out, listen to some podcast episodes, read a few blogs, make sure that my vibe matches with your vibe and that you're coming to the right space because there are lots of spaces like this for women. Mine's just one, but if my message resonates, we would love to have any of your listeners join us.
I think what you're doing is great. I think it's so needed. There's so many women out there that are on autopilot, just going about
Mm,
their day every day, Monday through Friday,
yep.
and they're not in touch with their feelings. They're just on
Mm,
autopilot, pleasing everyone else and totally neglecting themselves. And at some point, they'll wake up and say, why did I do
yeah.
this? I
Yeah.
sabotaged my life.
Yes.
So your work is truly important. I love it. I love
Oh, thank you for saying that, Susan. It's been so nice to meet you
it.
and to connect. And I love your story, your own reclamation. I love your smile. I love your glasses. Like you are
Thank you.
a you are like a beam of light. So good.
Thank you, Natty. I appreciate that. And I'd love for you to come back on again. I really would. I love this
Me too.
conversation.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you again. I'm Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate each and every one of you. If this episode resonated with you and you could think of anyone who would benefit from listening to this, please kindly share it out with them and let them know about my podcast. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I would absolutely love it if you can leave me a comment as well. I so appreciate you coming on and listening and for your support, and I wish you all the best in your health journey. Until the next time, be well, stay happy, and bye for now. Take good care, everyone.